Three, two, one. We are live. Good evening, everybody. It is what? Transparent Thursday. It is time to be transparent about something with someone. And I have my wonderful guest with me today, tonight, whatever time it is, wherever you're watching from. Welcome, welcome, welcome to A Renee Cooper and Transparent Thursdays with my guest, my hostess with the mostest, my sister from another mister, a woman that is amazing, young, and just doing great things in the kingdom and in the marketplace. And tonight, she is going to give you some great information and give you an opportunity to just do more with the information that you received today. We're going to talk about investing God's way, getting money God's way. Not money, let me repeat that. Getting property and owning a home, a condo, or land with very little money. Now, you can spend as much as you want to, but when I tell you you're going to enjoy this, you are going to enjoy this. So with that being said, I need you guys to do something that we do every Thursday. I want you to pick up your cell phone. See? And I want you to click like and share. Like and share. It's nice. It's nice. Somebody else may be ready. Somebody else may be in the posture and they're ready to make some investment in the money that they have, and you got a little bit of something, you got a little bit of change, and you're sitting it to the side, and now you want to figure out what to do with it. You missed, y'all missed buying into Pfizer. You missed, and I forgot the other. It's another pharmaceutical product that is contributing to the vaccine. Y'all missed that investment. So you still have a little bit of change left at the end of the year. And so I don't know if COVID is going to cancel Christmas, but I tell you what, Christmas is not going to cancel you. How about that? I hope you enjoy that introduction. This is a young lady that is going to bless your socks off today. With that being said, I want to thank Miss Pastor, author, and investor, Tasha Taylor. How are you this evening, my sister?
I'm doing great. Thank you for inviting me and having me here. This is a blessing and my first interview for the investment company.
Oh my God, I didn't even know that.
Yes.
What? You mean A Renee Cooper is breaking the story? What?
Yes. Yes.
Oh my God. I had no idea. Certainly when I saw your flyer about the investing, I was like, am I reading this right? I was just like, hang on, guys. I'm just trying to make sure that everybody has the phenomenal opportunity to participate. Join me live. How about that? I just shared. Thanks, Rita. I see Miss Rita Taylor on. That is my sister. I love her. Yes. She is fabulous. She is powerful. And she is anointed. Amen. And Amen. So there it is. So that being said, I saw your flyer, and the flyer says, are you tired of paying rent? Are you tired of being evicted? Are you tired of having foreclosures? Wow. There is a way that you can own a property with $5,000 or less. And you can do this God's way, and you can own this property free and clear. Free and clear, which means free and clear means free and clear means
You
what?
get the title. You get the
You get
title.
the title in your hand.
Yes, ma'am.
You can own a property. I'm going to repeat what the flyer says. It says, are you tired of paying rent? Are you tired of evictions? Are you tired of foreclosures? Well, get a property God's way. God has a ram in the bush for somebody. It's a whole lot of somebodies who will be listening. And for those of you who are watching the replay, the blessing is still going to be available to you as well.
Amen.
But watch this. For $5,000 or less. Now, this is interesting because I was having a conversation with someone and I told them, okay, I live in the DMV. I'm in DC proper. DC proper is, if you know anything about real estate in Washington, DC, New York, LA, the highest overhead in terms of housing cost in the country. And so I'll give you an example, Tasha. This is why I was like, I have to call this lady and see if we can have her on Transparent Thursdays, because this is the transparent thought right here. Watch this. For me to get a 562 square foot apartment, which is probably a studio or a junior 1-bedroom, the average going rate is about $1,750 to $1,850 per month.
Wow.
Okay. So wait a minute. To move in, you're going to need, depending on your level of credit, you're going to need a deposit, which is generally 1 month's rent, and you're going to need the first month's rent to move in. Now, the new thing that has been added is that they have a holding fee, which is usually between $300 and $500. They also have, if you have a pet, you also have a pet fee, a one-time non-refundable fee of $500. Plus pet rent. You have to pay rent for your pet, $30 to $50 a month or $70 a month. Then you have to pay the amenities fee to use the gym, to use the conference rooms, to use all of the amenities. You know, I'm talking about a hotel. Most of the apartment buildings here are hotel style buildings. So
Okay.
they have all of these wonderful amenities. And I tell you, it's a great way to live because it's very comfortable. You have everything there for you, but you pay. And so your amenities fee can be anywhere from $100 to $300 annually. So by the time you add up all these fees, and I've lost count, generally move-in is anywhere from $3,500, and that's if you have excellent credit. I'm talking about 750 and up, to about 5,000. The last apartment that I had, that I moved into, I came from New York and I came back to DC. I spent $4,800 to move in to a 580 square foot apartment. Okay, so I gave you all that dissertation, everybody, to let you know that if you're moving into an apartment, the money that you're getting ready to use for your deposit and your first month's rent, you can sit down with Tasha Taylor.
Amen. Take a class.
And she can tell you how to find a property with that same amount of money that you can own free and clear. I'm done. Okay, that's my introduction. A super, super duper long introduction, but let's talk about it. How did you get into this way of purchasing properties? Because this is a godsend for someone who is in a crunch, who does not have down payment money for, buying a property, and then they don't want to continue to rent because that's throwing money away. How did you get started in this?
Okay. Well, first I was watching television, and as I was looking at the commercials, I saw this millionaire guy come on, and he was like, I could teach you how to get properties, pennies on a dollar, and he was just talking about it. And the Spirit Lord, there was like a quickening in my spirit. And I just like I discerned like it's like I just felt like I had to research it. So I called the person, I went to the first class, and their class doesn't give half as much of the information that I give in my 9-hour course. And so I went to the class. They pretty much told you the laws, showed you how it's legal, how everything they're doing, it's not a scam. You can take properties real cheap, and they're trying to show you this is legal. And so I'm like, okay, so how do we do it? So how do we do it? They don't tell you how you do it. They just let you know the laws. They let you know it's legal. They let you know it's legitimate. How he made millions of dollars doing this, and now you need to take the next class that's going to cost like about another 2,000 or something, or maybe like 1,000 something
Right.
to find it out. And then he didn't tell you everything in that class. He broke it up. So if you want to learn about the other types of properties that you can get, you have to pay some more for that one. Oh, it was like he broke it up in some different sections. So you just keep paying more money. And so I couldn't afford it. So I just started to do a lot of research, and I found out different ways about going about it. And the first way I found out was I would go down to Miami, and when I would tell people this, they would think I'm lying. They'll think it's a joke. They wouldn't believe it. And I would literally leave the courthouse with little certificates telling me you can take this house, you have 30 days to take this house. All you have to do is pay this much money. And then if you want this condo, you just pay this in 30 days. And I'll leave the place with tons of certificates. And I'll show people, I'm like, okay, I can get this, I can get this, I need help. Can you help me with money? And people would give me the nastiest attitude. They're like, come on, what are you doing? That's not true. They would just discourage me. And so I just decided, you know what? I really wanted to push for it, but it's like every time I want to do it, I didn't have enough money. Then I found out another way of doing it where I would go to the live auction. And this is a totally different way of getting properties. The live auctions, that was really nice. But when I went there, all I saw was a bunch of gray-headed, old, mostly white men. And they'll be sitting there like they're like, yay, yay. And every minute somebody's happy about winning something. And I would go there and I would only have like probably like maybe $1,000, 2,000. But I had so much faith I'm gonna win it. And I would call these people sharks because they would take a property worth something really cheap and they'll drive the price all the way up in the sky. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I just saw my hopes go that quickly. And I remember one time this one guy, he bid about $40,000 and he got like this 2 point something million dollar skyscraper building with all of the outside was filled with glass, and all the men were like yelling and screaming. I'm trying to figure out what's going on. And this one guy came to me. He's like, "Do you know what he just won?" I said, "No." He said he just won that big, humongous building on the corner of this main road. It has all the office buildings, like hundreds of them in there, and it has like 17 floors with all the glass around it. He won it with $40,000. I'm like, okay. And so the whole point is, if you have that kind of money, you could win millions of dollars worth of real estate really quick. But like for me, I tell people in the class, you only need $5,000. You want to get a house, you want to get a condo, you want to get land. I've done it. I've done it over and over and over. And I've won probably properties like about 30 times. But because I didn't have the money, I lost the deal.
Yeah.
I could afford it. I actually paid for about 8 or 9 of them because that's what I could afford, you know, maybe a little bit more. But so that's what I could afford. And so I tell people that, and sometimes people come to the class and they're like, "Well, I don't have $5,000." And I would say, "Well, how much do you have?" If, let's be realistic. If you win something Monday, how much do you have? They'll say they have 2,000, and then I'll say, "Okay, well, let's drop the bar to 2,000." And we'll still find tons of properties available, condos, some timeshares. We'll see there's land. Sometimes we'll see mobile homes. We'll see different types of homes. Sometimes even the single family houses. Like if the plaintiff doesn't have enough money, you could take it from them for probably anything. And I remember one time I had won my second property in Miami, and I'll make it real quick if you like. But this, I thought this was such a blessing because when I had won that one, I won it $400. And I was doing like I was trying to get people to rent the property. And while I'm trying to get people to rent the property, I ended up starting to like just talk to them because the people will come in, they'll look at the property, and I'm like, wow, they're gonna pay me first, last, and security, and that's three times the rent. And if I, even if it's $1,000, it's $3,000. If they take my class, if they knew how much I want this property for, they'll take my class. So what I would do is when I'm showing them the tour tutorial around the house, sometimes I would skip my prayer closet because I don't really want them to look in the prayer closet because that's my sacred place. I don't want no one walking in it.
Yeah.
And but on the wall, it had tons of titles on it, all the titles that I had won, because that was my goal. I wanted to fill up the wall with tons of titles. Because I remember my grandma, she would be like, "Oh, in a few more years, it'll be 20 years that I didn't pay off the mortgage, and then I'll have it'll be mine." And that was her whole goal, was to pay off the mortgage for 20 years. But I was collecting titles in 10 days, and some of them I was collecting them in one day in 24 hours. So I was like, this is great. I am collecting titles. I don't have to wait till I'm like, 60 and 70 years old. It's on the wall, it's my proof. And so there's this one lady, she came and she was like telling me, I'm really looking for a place. I said, I want to show you something. I said, you know this address? She's like, yes. I said, I'm going to bring you the title to the property. I went on my prayer closet, took the title off, I showed it to her. I said, I want this property with $400. The guy was dead. He was deceased. And
Right.
I wanted $400. She's like, oh my goodness. I'm like, here's the proof right here. It's stamped from the county of Miami. And so Miami-Dade County. So she was like, how do you do this? How is it possible? I said, well, I'm an investor, and that's how I got the house. That's how I got this house. That's how I got the house in Broward. And so I showed it to her, and she was excited. And I said, I could help you find a house. But I said, if you take my class, it's like $1,000. Take my class, and at the time, I didn't have a book and a manual. I had made like a little paper. Well, I made a paper manual so people could fill in the information and jot down their case numbers for the properties they want. And
Yeah.
so she went ahead, signed up immediately. She signed up like in about a week or two, a week after. So, excuse me. And then when she signed up, she told me, I just want a property. I don't care where it is. I just want a property. I said, well,
Right.
don't be picky. If you're not picky, I can get you a property this week. And she was like, I was like, well, you can't be picky. If you can't, wherever I find it. She's like, okay, I just want to do it. I want to do it. So I found her a property that week. Now, um, of course, it wasn't what she wanted. It was in an area that was high crime, but she
Sure.
got a property. She got a one bedroom, one bathroom. You know, one bed, one. It was in Orange County. Now, in Orange County, they have a lot of issues
Yeah.
because the tourists don't really stay. They just buy places just to come for that holiday season. And when
Sure.
they leave, the people who do, drugs trying to take over the people's properties, and that was another issue
Yeah.
in Orange County. But if you ask me for property, I can help you get property. But you can't be picky. One of the things I teach people in my class is that there are risks. Success comes, and then also there are risks. As an investor, you're taking risks. You have to buy the property as is. You're not allowed to go in and inspect the property. It's not a bank. It's not like a bank type issue where you go in and you do a check or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's like you buy it as is. And I also teach you how to get it without delay. So the homeowner can't fight you. You'll be able to get that title in 10 days, or you can get the title in one day. And so that the whole point is not to alarm the homeowner, but you're going to take their house. You could drive by, you could look at it, but you don't talk to the homeowner. And
Yeah.
I've done it before, and the people would pay it, and then it would say redeemed, and then you can't get the deal. And
Right.
sometimes you can get some real good deals. They just can't tell them that you're after their home.
Yeah. Now, this is in Miami,
Yes, ma'am.
where a lot of those purchases are taking place for you. Um, Now, let's say I live in Detroit, or I live in North Carolina, or
Mhm.
I live in Georgia, or I live in North Dakota. Are are we able to find properties with that same process in other states as well?
Okay, well, I would say I have about like, wow, right now I have about 15 escrow accounts. I started off with like three, and then I progressed to seven. And when you start getting a lot more, it gets dangerous because you don't know when you want it. You have to look at it every single day,
Yeah.
because it's 24 hours to pay it. So, in the database, it includes New Jersey. It does include Arizona. It includes Florida, Colorado. There's some places that the database includes in it, and it shows you all the different counties in that state, which
Okay.
is good. And they're continually adding on more. I do see that New Jersey was the newest one that they just added in the database.
Wow.
Then there's another one that I use now. It's a newer one I just got introduced to. And this is how you can get like lots of land, massive amounts of land. I mean, since I almost became a millionaire in September 2020. I won so much land and so much investments, and I was like, wow, all I need is $4,000, and it's like a little bit 4 to 5,000. I was like, and if I had paid it, I would have been a millionaire. That's how much I had taken, and these bids were starting at $1, you know, and I went for it, and I had the paperwork, I had the invoice to show for it, and I'm like
I didn't know
asking
you did.
everybody. I was like, please help me, help me, help me, help me. And they're like, show me the proof. So I show them the proof. And they're like, well, one person's like, well, and another person's like, well, you have to pay me back in this many days. I'm like, come on, I could eventually get it to you. But nobody gave me the 4,000. I missed but that was just a moment. That could happen again at any time. But I mean, that was when like nobody was on there trying to be an investor, and I was raking everything up. I mean, everything, diamonds too. I'm getting a whole bunch of investments from diamonds and land in Texas, Nevada, Wyoming, like all over the place. I was just getting a bunch of land. And so one thing I teach people now is to be moderate because it's not gambling. This is absolutely it's not a gamble. You have to have self-control. In the class I teach people, you go ahead and push the button as many times as you like, but you don't want to like push it when it's over $100. Like in that database, you want to be careful because you could win a ton of stuff, but when you're finished, you have to also pay the fees and all that stuff and
Yeah.
shipping costs, and it goes up, and then you just have to pay it or they kick you out of the database. And I've been put out several times because sometimes I don't pay it because I don't have the money. But that's another issue. But that's going to change because I just got back into the system. My son said I keep hacking in, and I hacking in. I just have so many businesses so I could change it, and they don't know it's. I hope they don't know it's me. But sometimes they know it's me because I have to pay with my credit card.
Yeah.
But it's like there's moderation,
Right.
and sometimes that the faith is so great. It's greater than what you have, and you're like, oh, I want that. But at the same time, you have like 5 days to pay in that database. So I teach you to stay within your budget and
Okay.
not overdo it. I try to teach you that. Hmm.
So, because after the excitement of wow, I just got this property for just this, meager amount of money, then there's a responsibility to pay the full cost of
Hmm.
the win or the
Yes,
bid,
ma'am.
and then is taking possession of that property, whatever that may mean. It may mean it's somewhat of a fixer upper. It may
Hmm.
mean there's you can flip it, or it may mean that you might be able to move into it, you might not be able to, or you might just be able to wholesale it, and someone else will take it over, a larger developer or someone else that's seasoned as an investor, and you can make some money off of it. So there are so many options there. But for the person who wants to utilize this as a way to gain just one property, I just need somewhere for me and my child, or me and my husband, or me and my wife. We just need something that we're willing to maybe even move a little further out, just so that we can have a property that's free and clear, and
Yes.
we might need to do a little fixing up or
Hmm.
whatever that requires.
Hmm.
What would you say to that person who doesn't want to necessarily be a full investor,
Okay.
and transition properties through their hands, but they may
Mhm.
just want to come in for
Mhm.
personal gain. What would you
Yeah.
say to that listener?
Okay, so for someone that just wants a property for themselves, I think that's a great start. That's how I started. I started off with I was in a shelter, domestic violence shelter with an issue with my ex-husband, who was my husband then. But it turned into a crisis, and I needed a place, and I was like praying all the time, like, Lord, please help us get a win. And at that time, I would collect all of our churches, like any fundraising money we did, like concerts and everything, I'll put it in the church escrow. And I prayed and prayed, and I'm like, nobody wanted to help me. And I'm like, Lord, please help me win a bid with what I have in my own escrow. Because like whenever I need $100 or $1,000, it's like nobody wanted to give it to me, and
Right,
I'll lose the bid. And so one day I was like stranded. My car broke down. I had like a little mini bus. It broke down inside of a Popeyes parking lot, and it was raining. And I'm like, no one's gonna give me a jump in this rain. And so I took out my phone, and I just felt led to just, I believe the Spirit Lord was leading me to go and do the bid. So I took out my phone, was looking at the bid. Then I saw a property I wanted. So I'm like, Lord, please let us win. You said you never seen the righteous forsaken or seen begging bread. And I'm promising God, telling God all his promises and praying. And then it lit up green at about 2000 something, like $2,000 or so. And I was like, wow, praise God. And I'm showing my son, and he's like screaming in the back, like, yeah, 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 we're gonna get a house. And we're just praising God. Then somebody outbid me, so I outbid. Then I'm praying and praying and praying, and then all of a sudden it went it was finished. The bids were finished. It went out to last 60 seconds, and so it was green, and it said you are the high winner. And I'm like, oh my goodness, praise God. And I was just so excited because when I looked at it, that's like I had wanted with 2,100. I had like 2,300 inside the escrow. And so I was able to call the county and I said, well, I'm all the way in Broward. What do I do? They said, well, you have all the money in your escrow, so we'll go ahead and allow you to pay from your escrow. So
yeah,
that's one county that did allow me to do it. And so it was paid. And I was like, praise God, we finally had our own place to stay. And we could like leave that whole shelter situation. And we went down to the place and all the way down in Broward. Make a long story short, when we got there, I was able to go to the courthouse. I did it the legal way. I made the eviction for the homeowner, and then I gave her a little note. I did it the nice way because I didn't. I thought first I thought it was a little like mean to take somebody's home, so I gave her a little note. She never called me, but as soon as the sheriff put up the eviction papers, she started calling me. Everybody was, and she's like, "Oh, I just wanted to talk to you. How you doing?" And I would explain. I was explaining everything to her, and she's like, "Well, they don't fix nothing here anyway, so I don't care." She had like a I don't care attitude because the association fixed stuff. And so when I finally moved in, it was cleaned out. They cleaned everything out for me. We shook hands. You know, I found out they're Christian, so we shook hands and everything. And it was a two-bedroom, one bathroom, and it had a loft. We were in a gated community. It was a beautiful condo. The one of the but her husband left me a few booby prizes because he was upset. So, but other than that, it was a beautiful property, praise God. And all I had to pay for the first time in my life was just the association fees. It was a different feeling, a beautiful feeling. I could sleep on the first of the month. It wasn't like I wasn't in panic mode. I wasn't in like, okay, I gotta get this money together. I mean, I could sleep. I could lay down and sleep on the first, and it was a different feeling. And then 2 months after that, I won second property in Miami, and I was like, wow, so what do I do with this one? And so I tried to turn into a shelter home at first for the men, some of the homeless men in the church. And I found out something that I thought I'd never find out. Some people who are homeless do not want a place to stay. They gave me all types of excuses. Like, we don't trust the police. We don't like Miami. I'm like, well, you have a roof over your head. They're like, no, we don't trust Miami. And the few that did move in, like a week later, they'll disappear. They just didn't like it. I guess it was too bored. It was too like, because that was a beautiful community. That was like a gated community. It was more beautiful than the one I had in Broward. And
wow,
it was like a two-story townhouse condo. It was a vaulted ceiling, and that house was like a miracle how I got that one because the Spirit of the Lord kept telling me the house is vacant. It's vacant. And I teach everyone in the class, wait your 10 days. Wait. Don't let the homeowners know anything. Because if you alarm them, then they'll go to the courthouse and they'll delay you from getting your title.
yeah,
And so the Spirit of the Lord's like, it's vacant, it's vacant. So I said, okay, Lord, show me how to go about this. And so I had a vision of myself going and knocking on the neighbors' doors and asking them about the vacant property. And so when I did that, the lady came out. She was speaking Spanish, and she's like, "Oh, he moved. She was telling me he died. He's dead. He's been dead for years. And
Wow.
his caregivers from Jamaica, she's gone. And the bank took over." And she's showing me the little lock, and my son's over there playing with the lock. He's like, "Mommy, mommy, what's the code?" And I'm like, "Joshua, I'm talking to the lady here." And he's like, "Mommy, mommy, I got the code." I'm like, "Joshua, you're being so disruptive. Stop it." And I'm talking to the lady. They said, "Mommy, mommy, I got the key." And I'm like, "Oh my goodness." I said it. So it's like at that point I wanted to just hug him, and I'm like telling the lady, "Okay, I'm the new owner. I won. I don't have the title, but it's legal. I won it, and I won it in the auction. I'm third party bidder." And she's like, "Okay, okay, okay. Well, just go and get your go to the association so you can get everything for your decal so you can park here."
Yeah.
And so I was like, "No problem." And so I went into the property. There was a staircase that took me all the way up to the top of the house, the second floor. The whole house was on the second floor, and it was beautiful, immaculate. And it was in the back of it had like a little loft thing, and there was like a pond with ducks and everything. It was a beautiful house. And so what I did was I rented out the one in Broward, and then I ended up moving in that one with my son. And it was the first time that I saw so much money coming in because I'm like, wow. I would get everybody. The Spirit Lord was showing me that I could charge these what's it, application fees. So I'll charge application fees. People will just be coming, and I would do it like a business. Okay, you're coming at 8 a.m. You're coming at 9. You're coming at 9:30. You're coming at 10. You're coming at 10:30. And it was like a business. I'd sit in the house all day, and I'm gonna show the house to every single person that comes in. I have my stack of applications, and at the end of the day, I'll have like what, like seven, eight, $900, just in application fees. And the people, everybody want to get the house, and I'm like, well, I have to wait till the day the spirit. Now I don't tell them that, but the spirit Lord gives me a date, when to go through and pick somebody you know. So everybody paying their fees, and then I was doing it, and then I won like 2 weeks after, 2 months after, sorry, 2 months after I won land in Brevard County, and I put it in my son's name. So you can actually control whose name gets on the title before you win it. And so what I wanted to do something different. I put my son's name on it, and he won it. So at the age of 6, he was already a property owner, and people were like, "How could you do that? That's illegal." But I did it. Like I know the rich people do it. The baby could be in their belly, and they already put the house in their name or something. So like I put the
Trust.
title thing on there. I did it again. Uh-huh. And so and I sold that one too. I sold the land. And then after that, a few months later, I won because I was like doing bidding every day. And I teach you to try to if you spend like 2 hours a day, Joshua, if you spend 2 hours a day doing bidding, that will happen for you. You'll be able to win a property at like one every 2 months or one every month. And after that, I won another one in Orange County. And then after that, I won another one in Orange County. And it was like a constant trend of just winning, 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 winning. And my dad was like, "What are you doing? Don't you have to pay taxes for all this stuff?" And I'm like, these are the same people who were like, "Oh, that's a lie. You can't do it. You can't take people's homes. Like, what are you thinking
No,
about?"
no, no. So Tasha, I have a little
Mhm.
change. Can you find me one?
I'm sorry. I'm sure I could find you
No,
something.
no, 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 not me. I'm saying everyone else who was saying no to you,
Mhm.
or when you were in those crises moments of, hey, I got this property, I have this land, I have this condo, and you know, can you help me purchase it so I can get the title? No, we don't have it, but I bet you now they seeing is believing.
Yes, yes, yes. And he helped me too. He helped me move the refrigerator from one property to the one in Miami, and my brother came with him. And my brother's like, "Tasha, oh my goodness, you should really take this serious. You should take pictures and let people do a brochure, let people see how these properties look. This looks
Right.
beautiful. You got it for $400." And he's making like a big deal. I'm like, "Yeah." And I didn't do it. I probably should have done that. Take pictures of the whole
You
house.
probably should have done that. And we probably should be moving to where you are.
Oh my goodness. Oh goodness. And it's gonna happen again. I just have to stay diligent and keep on like I used to spend like 2 hours a day doing the research because it happens. And then when I win, that's another thing to make sure I pay for it when I win, you know.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest point, is the whole not just winning it, because the winning part, I've been winning, but it's the keeping it, the fulfilling it and paying for it in the 24-hour period that they give me, or the 5 days.
Right.
Hmm.
So essentially, um, when you come to the class, there are three things that happens.
Uh huh.
There
Uh
are
huh.
three key things. Number
Uh
one,
huh.
you're going
Okay.
to learn how to research.
Yes.
Okay, so when you come to the class, so that you can learn how to be an investor, and you can determine how you want to
Hmm.
do it. You don't have
Yes.
to move in it yourself, guys.
Yes.
You can flip the property and rent it out and make income from it. You can find you a realtor, put it on the market and sell it outright and be done with it. But there are options for you, whichever way you want to go. And for people, land is something that, if you have that in your arsenal of things, in your arsenal of assets, land gives power. And so sometimes if you do your research where you're buying land, it may be in another city. However, if you're doing your research on, the planning of that city, you'll find that, hey, if their 5 and 10 year plan, the property value looks like it's going to go up. And so if you have an opportunity to get the land while it's cheap, you hold it. And then the next thing you know, someone else will have the opportunity. You'll have some situation where someone wants to buy it for more money. I think she will be back. I lost my dear sister. She'll log back in as soon as she can. And I'm not sure what happened to her computer. But that being said, guys, listen, hit me up on Facebook and give me your questions that you would like to ask. The workshop that she's doing, she is offering it on, all day Saturday, this coming Saturday. And one of the things that, she said, I said earlier, there are three segments in the workshop. The first segment is you're learning how to do the research, learning how to find the properties and, the counties and the states where they are available. Her suggestion was to look in the city where you live. So let's say you live in Maryland or you live in New Jersey. And she kept talking about New Jersey because that's one of the newer states that have been added. So if you live in New Jersey, um, once you do the research, it'll tell you the counties or the little small cities, where properties are available, or land, or condominiums. And so if it's near where you live, you can do the drive by. You can see where it is. You can see the neighborhood. You can make a determination that way. Um, and so when you're bidding, a lot of times when you're looking at the, listings and finding out where things are, you may miss one, but because you want to go and do the drive by, you're new at it, and, you want to figure out if it's a good fit for you. So that being said, watch this. You may not win that particular one, but at least you're looking, you're saying, okay, well, if I find a condo in this building and I miss it, 9 times out of 10, you may, and she's back with us.
Sorry.
That's okay, no problem. So at any rate, you missed your key light. There you go. So I was just explaining to them the process. And one of the things that you shared was that if, in fact, you're getting started for the first time and you're starting your process of research and you're trying to figure out, well, where should I look? And one of the things that you said was look in the state or the city where you live, because at least you could possibly do a drive by and figure out, oh, that's, a county away from where I live, but let's go and, let's just jump in the car and ride over there and see what the neighborhood is like. And so then you can actually see the place as opposed to buying something in North Dakota for $400. And then you get on the plane and get there and be like, oh my goodness, why did I buy this?
Yes.
And so that's for people who are conservative. This is your first opportunity in investing in property in this way. And so you may not be, everybody's a novice at some point. It takes 10,000 hours to become an expert at anything. So therefore you're new at it. So I love that suggestion that you made. Shop or look in the states or somewhere close by where you already live, so that you can get a feel. You'll know the community, because if you tell me it's Southeast DC and you give me the address, I'm going to say, oh yeah, no, or that's okay, and because I'm familiar with my surroundings. So that's number one. So you spend a lot of time on research, guys, and then the next thing is she will help you set up 3 escrow accounts. Now, what does that mean? 3 escrow accounts means that each account is for each property. So let's say you're going to go for a place in New Jersey and you're looking at condos or what have you, and you start bidding on one. That's an escrow account for that one. And so you have to, what you want to do is you're going to set up the escrow accounts. She's going to help you set up 3. Now, the other caveat with setting up your escrow account is that you're going to have to fund it yourself. So in other words, when you're ready to start your process of going through the bidding and selecting something, you want to have at least 5% of the total value in the escrow. So you don't have to have the full amount of money, but you need at least 5% in that escrow so that you can at least start your bidding process. And then within 24 hours, up to 5 days, you will have to pay for it in order to be able to get the title. So that's the step 2. And then step 3, finish it for me, Tasha.
Okay. Well, step 3 is okay. So we got the escrows, 3 escrows,
Yep.
4 hours of research to find properties, and then also the last step, the last important part of it, I would say would be uh, help me out because I know I told you.
I know. Let me go back to my notes. Okay, so the
Yes.
third part is you have an opportunity to win a bid.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. In the
So she's
class.
going to take you live and
Mm-hmm.
let you see what it's like so you can get a feel for it. So when you go home and do it when you're outside of the class, you won't be all squeamish like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. Should I pick it? Should I pick it? So she's going to give you an actual live experience and you have the opportunity to win something.
Yes. And ever since September, I did something different with the business. I incorporated it, and in the incorporation, I put the Holy Spirit as my vice president. Since I've done that, there's been a high percentage of students winning in the class, just winning bids. This has never happened before. I've never had a class before September where students would just take the class and win a bid in the class. And
Wow.
so the first person, and he said it's okay. Pastor Williams, he won land. Like if people tell me don't say nothing, I won't say nothing. I won't say their name and information. And then the second person, he won tons of investment items. And I'm so proud of him because I just turned my back. He took the class live with me here in my home. And so he took the class, and when he took the class, I had turned my back for a moment, and he kept on pressing the button. And I'm like, okay, not only press it this time, many times, make sure it's under $100, because I just wanted him to just get a trial. And he just kept pressing the button and pressing the button and pressing it. And when I turned around, I'm like, what are you doing? And he had so many wins. And the good part is he did fulfill it, and he's doing a much better job fulfilling than I am. Because
Yeah.
sometimes I win properties, I don't pay them, And then I was asking him to help me out the other day. He said, "No, you're not going to get me kicked out." So he already knows that
Well,
I
here's the thing. If you so when you start the bidding process, you want to stay in the confines of what you know you can get money that you can get your hands on.
yes.
So that means, guys, don't start looking at properties that are 20K and you know you can't get your hands on 20K because you don't have time to go get a loan. You don't have time to talk to the bank. You don't have time to call 10 friends to give you $2,000 each. Like, for real. You want to have the money liquid. Liquid means I can get my hands on it in 24 hours. So in other words, what would be practical is to say, okay, I'm going to take the class and then I'm going to set up my escrows. Now, when it is time for me, when I have 5,000, 4,000, 3,000, whatever I have available, then it's time for me to start funding that escrow so that I can at least find something within the confines of what I have available. And prayerfully, I'm winning because the Holy Spirit is the VP and he's working in my favor.
Well, praise
And
God.
so I'm going to win the bid and get my property for, 4 or 5 thousand bucks.
Yes, that's safe bidding. That's safe bidding. I teach you to be a how do I say it? I teach you to be more like a go-getter. From the first time you get in the class, you're already bidding. I teach you to pre-bid. So and it's good to get in the habit of pre-bidding because you want to be able to win that bid because it could happen at any time.
Yeah.
And and it might happen for 400 bucks. I won a property for 400 bucks. Like my first property I won was 2,100. The second one was 400 bucks. The third one was $900, the land in Brevard. The one after that, it was like about 2,000, like a little less than 2,000. I won that one in Orange County. The
Okay.
next one I won was about, wow, they're like different ranges. One day I won doubles, and I heard the Spirit of the Lord tell me double. And I'm like, double? And I went and checked the bids. In Volusia County, I won two properties the same day. And I was like, wow, I only have enough money for one. And those bids, you win, like you could win it the next day. You could win the title, get the title. And so I drove up to Volusia. I was very late. And the clerk's like, you know the rules, you're late. And I'm like, oh, please forgive me. I was having trouble getting up here, but I drove. She's like, don't worry about it. So then she wanted the money. I spent some of the money in the gas. So I'm like, wow, I'm a little short. She's like, you know the rules. So she's like, I'm giving you till the long hand hits on the 12, then you're losing the deal. So I go downstairs and I'm like, Lord, help me, Jesus, help me. And so I'm like, I don't know who to call because remember, nobody wanted to help me. I need like 50 bucks. And I go and I'm ready to go to my car. And this guy, he walks by, he says, ma'am, are you okay? And I'm like, yes. And then I said, no, I am not okay. He's like, what's wrong? I said, I owe the court money. I don't have the money. He said, how much do you owe the court? I said, 50 bucks. And he's like, you know what? I'll help you. And I was surprised. I'm like, nobody, who helps somebody with $50? Maybe with a dollar or two, but 50 bucks? And so I'm like, I'll give it back. And so we both we go up to the floor and he pays. I tell the lady, he's going to pay by credit card. I pay with my cash, and that's how I got one of the timeshares. I won two, but they allowed me to get one, and then they kicked me out of it afterwards because I didn't pay for the second one. But they're like that. So when you win, they want you to pay the money, all the money.
Right. I got it. This is this is this is good. So now, have you bought any properties outside of the Florida area?
Let me see. Florida. Most of my properties are all in Florida. I've
Mm-hmm.
won recently. Um, I won land in Texas. I won land in Nevada and all those places, and then I didn't pay for it. I
Yeah.
didn't have the
So
money.
you lost it. Yeah.
I felt so bad about it because I want one of them was a cash deal, for $250 for land in Texas. And I'm like, how did I lose a deal
I
so
have no idea. Why don't listen? We have to girlfriend chit chat talk after because that's crazy.
cheap?
I can't hear the stories. I can't hear them.
And they kicked me out too. They kicked me out for it as well. They put me out
Exactly.
of the escrow thing, and I got back in, and I got another one once for like $500, and then I lost that too. And I'm like, how do I lose something so cheap? And but I just didn't have the money,
Yeah,
so it's gonna change though.
of
Yeah, because
course.
I know the money's coming in Jesus' name. So
It
and
is.
it has been coming in, and I thank God so much for I thank God and I'm gonna, it's a testimony. I know Apostle Rita, you're watching. I thank God for you for prophesying to me. Actually, Apostle Rita prophesied to me before, and I thank God for that because it started to open up some doors. I mean, because at first, like it was like a strain for me to do a lot of stuff financially, and then all of a sudden, money started coming. I'm like, whoa, praise God. She just said,
Sometimes you need
she
someone
said,
to come in with that breaker anointing to break something off of you because sometimes you're just in a place where it's just tight and you don't have that intercessory circle around you. And so it's great when you have someone that can come in outside of your jurisdiction and speak to it and it'll break off of you. Um,
praise God,
and
praise
that's a whole nother conversation that we're not gonna have right now. But
God.
wait a minute, because we're nearing our hour, and there are a few more things that I want to cover with you. Um,
Okay.
I started out saying that you're an author of 12, 12, the number of establishment. I love 12. 12 books, and the titles are diverse and they're amazing. Um, and I wanted to talk about the process of writing. We know that writing is a cathartic process that helps you grow. It helps you release. It helps you pour out in places. Um, I love the you have so many books. The newest one is Now Faith. And I want to talk about that really quickly. Now Faith, because here's the thing. This to be able to purchase properties in this way,
Hmm.
it takes a level of faith. It takes not only faith, but it takes a level of confidence. Because see, here's the thing. All of your wonderful examples of the minimal amount of money that you've paid for some really great properties, and have had and lost opportunities in other places. It takes a level of faith in God. It takes a level of trust to believe that it's even possible. And what was interesting, something that you said that I wanted to pinpoint again, is that people is like, is this real? Yes, it's real.
Hmm.
It's just the fact that before this is my opinion only. This is a Renee-ism. I believe before technology, before internet, before social media, before that, being able to share information in the cloud in a space um, that's pretty much outer space, we were not privy to a lot of this information that people have known for years. There are a set of people that are like, oh, she just finding out about that. We've been knowing about that. But there, sometimes we just don't know what we don't know. And to have an opportunity, and in my opinion, some of the things that I said to you when we spoke earlier was this: there are, even in the midst of a pandemic, you can still own a property. You can still do this. And
Yes.
I came up with two ways. The way number one was this: um, if you're getting your pandemic money, a bag, shoes. I understand catching up on bills. I get it. But really, when when we got that first set of money before $1,200, it didn't really do anything for a lot of people because most people's bills, their mortgage or their rent was more than $1,200. So it really didn't do anything. It was there, and it was somewhat of a relief, but it didn't cover everything. And so we know that rule of seed sowing, it's like if it doesn't meet the
Mm.
need, then it becomes a seed. So why
Yes.
not sow it into something where you can reap?
Amen. Amen.
You know what I'm saying? Where you
Yes.
can reap. But the next thing coming up is wonderful tax returns in the next few months.
Yes.
People are by the end of January, people are going to start to get their tax returns.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, why not use that money as an opportunity to grow yourself, as an
Amen.
opportunity to shift? If you are a rentor, and everybody says, I don't want to own, some people say, I don't want to own a property. I don't want the responsibility of it. But if it's free and clear and all you have to pay are taxes,
Mm-hmm.
um, in retrospect, keep it in the family. Um, there's just so many advantages
Mm-hmm.
opposed to disadvantages. And at the end of the day, the least of the things is that at least you always know that you have somewhere that you could call home, that as long as you pay those taxes, you own it free and clear.
Mm-hmm.
And if anything happens, you always have a roof over your head, because you're not, and thank you for being transparent enough to share your story that you were homeless at a moment, because all of us have been there in some capacity. And so just to know that there is a way out. And this is one of the ways out. This is a way to build. This is a way to increase your finance, to increase your net worth, to gain assets. It's amazing. I am so excited and so overwhelmed. I am prayerful that
Mm-hmm.
people will hear this information and call you and take, it's only one day. I mean, one day, and we're getting ready to shut back down again. you know, I was listening to the news earlier, and well, I'm in the DMV area, and so they're starting to shut down again Tuesday. It's going to be carry out only, no more eating in restaurants. Um, Virginia, it's a shutdown. You have to, I'm sorry, curfew. You have to be in by midnight. We're getting ready to go back to being quarantined again. And so in that process, guys, go ahead and get this information, because things are going to shift. And when you come back into some finance, this is a way to focus your money, so that it can keep giving back to you. This is a gift that could potentially keep giving to you, in my opinion. In my opinion. So, that being said, you're having a workshop this week, this Saturday coming. And so, because of COVID, you're not having a face to face meeting. This will actually be on Zoom, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So essentially, they'll be able to get into the class. Is 12 noon to 9 p.m. and there's some breaks built in there. But she's going to take you through the process, show you what she knows, and you're going to get an investor's manual. So the manual will stay with you, which is great because it's going to teach you the process. Um, well, she teaches you the process, but then the manual will assist you so that
Mhm.
when you're not with her, you'll still have that information. Is that correct?
Yes. Amen. Mm-hmm.
That is what's up. Um, What is it that you tell your students after they finish the work,
Wow.
the training with you?
Well, I say congratulations. Actually, the last student, I berated him because I wanted him to win a property, and he went for like three cash deals. He said somebody outbid him with $15, and I'm like, hey, what are you doing? You made me lose my winning streak. You know, everybody's supposed to win something since September. So I was like, you know, you have to win something. And so it's like now I'm pressuring the students to
Yeah,
win. They have to win a property.
right,
So I think that should be encouragement to everybody, you know, that when you come, you will win something. And and that's my goal. My goal is to see everybody win something, and that's the Lord's spirit, and the Spirit of God is, you know, that it's just everything shifted since I said, you know, the Spirit of God is the vice president. People, it's like there's more people winning, and I'm starting to see people in a different light. I told one student, I see him as a shark. He has that potential to be a shark, you know, to go after all those properties because he's always seeing ahead, like what the properties can be used for. You
right.
know, he already sees the big picture like years from now, and I'm like, wow, you know, so every property is a good deal. And I'm like, okay, you're a shark. You're gonna really make some money. So I want to encourage everybody to go after it. You
I
know.
want to be a shark.
Oh, praise God. Yes, yes, those are the gray-headed old Caucasian men. So those are the people who I call sharks. They sit there all day and they just bid and bid and bid. They have all this money. I actually met one Caucasian guy. He's an investor, and he said, "Wow, you know, not a lot of people know what you know." I said, "I know." He's like, "Keep it a secret." And I'm like, "Hey, that's not fair. That a lot of people will be constantly renting, and then there'll be a small percentage of people constantly owning, and they'll be owning everything and renting it to everybody else." So so this way, it kind of shares the distribution of wealth, you know. So people who normally wouldn't be able to own would have their own property, you know,
Right,
and we'll see more landlords that, you know, aren't old, gray-headed, you know, Caucasians. So which is okay, you know. And I'm starting to see that more now too, because more people are getting into real estate, trying to get into owning.
right,
But I would say that doing it this way gives you the title quicker instead of having to go through the bank and waiting for years and having the house go upside down in value and then you lose it and then it's, you know. So I would say put in the least amount you can and you get the most amount of assets that you can, you know,
right.
this way.
And you know what else is the caveat with now? The interest rates for mortgages are shockingly low. Um, However, the criteria is extremely high. And if you're purchasing in a
Mm-hmm.
market, like
Uh-huh.
I had a conversation with a realtor friend of mine a week ago, and I love the Atlanta area, and
Mm-hmm.
she said the competition, it is a buyer's market, but there's so much competition because the inventory is dwindling and
Mm-hmm.
it's so many people wanting to move there. And so it can be 30 bids on one property. And so that seller has its plethora of people to choose from. It can be cash deals. Oh, if you have to wait for your FHA money, I don't want you. Um, if you want to make an offer or you want to counter and you want them to pay half of the closing and we don't want to pay. And so you need to bring more money to the table. And when I gave you the example before, you said, well, if you have that kind of money, honey, you could be a millionaire.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Yes.
Can
And
you
this, yeah.
imagine? So let's say a person is in the process of wanting to purchase their home and they have say $7,000 to $10,000, which would be their down payment and part or most of closing. What could they do with that? With your
Wow. Well, I could help you turn it into, I mean, you can get maybe like I would say 3 houses with that money, 3 good houses. And now I also teach people that there are different levels of liens. All right. So there are high level liens, there are middle level liens, low level liens. I go through all of this. But
Right.
the best ones are the high level liens because those are free and clear. Now, the low level liens are more like bills, because I teach people to get people's houses for any unpaid bill. The plumber, the roofer, any bill you didn't pay, I could take your house. Once the judge says, it's going to the bidders or it's going to third party bidders, and for the highest bid, pretty much it goes into this account, and I have access to it, and I teach you how to set up your escrows in that account where you can get all the properties. I teach you to research all the properties. So pretty much it's like a smorgasbord of lots of bills, and you pick which ones you want, and you investigate. Which one's a house, which one's a condo, which one's land, and then pretty much from there you buy. You take what you like. And the best part is that there's some areas where investors don't even really want to get properties. So like you could take people's houses without a fight. And there's in some areas there's very low fighting level, and then some areas they're like here in West Palm Beach, lots of sharks. So pretty much they could take a property that has like that's probably starting off at $100 and bring it all the way up to like 47,000, 50,000.
Right.
Because they have the money. But there's some areas where there's no fight, not much fight. So you just win the property, and if you don't pay it, and though they kick you out, so you don't back them up.
Yeah.
Um, but I know where they all are, which is a good thing because I study which ones are good ones, and the Spirit of the Lord also led me to which ones are the easier ones to find bids in, but you just gotta pay it. That's the only part I'm working on. Paying it within the 24 hours.
Right.
Mhm.
So now, do the students have access to you after the class when they're, starting their process of trying to do their bids on their own?
Absolutely. I actually have one student. I would say she's a lazy student. She didn't
Uh-oh.
want to do anything. Every morning, she was my next door neighbor. She would come knock on the door and say, Tasha, help me with the bids, help me with the bids. I'm like, I just told you the class. And she's like, I don't understand. So I would take it, every morning I would show her how to get back into her escrow. And I mean, she should know how to do it, but she just wanted me to do it. I think she had faith that if I did it, then she would win it cheap.
She
So she's
needs
like,
your favor.
oh. And so every morning,
Like God is sitting on you
oh my
to work
goodness.
for her good.
Oh my goodness. I'm like, come
Just
on, you
charge
have
her
the
a fee.
escrow.
Just charge her a fee. That's it.
Oh my, I didn't even charge her. So every morning we would go through the same thing. And then one day I was going through the bids and I'm like, wow, I don't have enough money to get that one in my escrow. And so I remembered her, and I'm like, I'm gonna call her. I just discerned, that the Spirit Lord probably wanted me to call her. So I just called her, and I said, quickly, go to your escrow right now. And she's like, oh, I don't. I said, there's a property right now. You can get it. So she started. And she was so sluggish. I'm like, come on, you have 13 minutes to get the bid. You got to get into the escrow. She's like, oh, I'm trying. How do I? And I'm like, oh my goodness, don't lose this, okay? And I'm like, it's land. She's like, oh, I need land for the ministry. And she's a chaplain. She's like, I need that land for the ministry. And
Chaplain,
she
you better get that land. What happened?
and she waited till she had like 7 minutes left to finally get into it. And then she made her bid and she won it right here in West Palm Beach.
How much
Yeah.
did you pay for it?
She paid like 1,100 or 14. It was like between 11 or 1,400. It was like $1,000 something, thousand something.
And how much land was it?
Um, Wow, it's been a while. It was point something acres. I don't remember exactly how much.
It was enough to put a building on it, right?
I would say, and her husband's a construction person, like a contractor. So, and then I told her, I said, can I tell everybody? She's like, no, don't tell nobody, because people treat you different when they know you have something. And I'm like, come
She's
on.
right, but we get ready to call her because we need her. We need her husband's hands to help the land that we get ready to buy since he's in construction. Get out of here!
Oh goodness.
Where do you get these people from? Are
Oh,
we gonna have to move to Florida because it seems
oh.
like deals are happening in Florida.
Well, there's a lot of escrows. I would say there's like 30 or 40 escrows in Florida. ranging with all the counties because it's so big. And then the more further you go north,
Yeah,
it's easier to win those bits as you go north. As you go like south, like more like Miami, Broward, West Palm, there's more fighting and it's overcrowded. But
sure.
but there are tons and tons more properties because people are not paying their bills. So you go to places where people don't pay their bills. Like in Miami, you can have like 100 properties or 80 properties going in the auction a day because the people don't pay the bills. So, it's just lots and lots of properties to take.
Wow. Well,
Mhm.
I tell you, this is enlightening. Absolutely. For everyone who is watching, you can put up your questions on the screen real quick before we close out. I am going to add your phone number to the room so that people can call up and organize. They can go to paypal.me/triumph7. That's TRIUMPH, the number 7. And you can pay there. The course is 1049, not $10.49, y'all. It's 1049, $1,049. And for $1,049, we talked about for the last hour what you're going to receive in that 1 day training. Um, that is going to potentially change the trajectory of your assets and your finance. It has the possibility to do that. And
Yes,
it's based on what you're willing to put in. But certainly, I'm so excited about it because, as I said, if you're getting ready to make a move into an apartment, where you're going
mhm,
to pay anywhere from 3 to 5,000 for a move-in, including the truck, including the little odds and ends that you're getting ready to buy to fix up your new cute place that you're going to rent and continue to rent, and they're going to go up a percentage the next year if you don't lock in this
mhm.
long term. They have almost now 22-month leases. Who wants to be locked in for 22 months at 1850, 2200, 2600,
Wow.
800? Rent.
Hmm.
Rent.
Yes.
I mean, y'all do the math.
Hmm.
Do the math. As opposed to free and clear.
Yes.
And maybe, a little beautification here, maybe a contractor there to get it the way you want it, or maybe not. Maybe just flip it
Yep.
and
Hmm.
put it on the market and sell it and get a bigger payday.
Absolutely. Hmm.
I don't know any other way. I
Yes.
don't know any other way. So,
Hmm.
that being said, you
Yes.
guys make your own decisions. What is the number where
Okay.
you can reach
My
you?
number is 561
Yes,
475
yes.
7170.
All right. And that is 561-475-7170.
Yes, ma'am.
That being said, that will be this Saturday. So give her a call on tomorrow so that you can find out how to sign up in case you didn't hear all of that earlier. Certainly, the workshop will happen again, the webinar. And so if you miss this Saturday, there will be another one. So still call, especially you people that are watching the replay and you watch it Saturday or you're watching this Sunday and saying, I missed it. No, call her anyway. And I'm going to pin this um, on the page so that people can see it. And what you do want
Okay.
to do, guys, is sign up for the next session. You don't know when this is going to chime in and work for you. And I gave you the example earlier. Tax time is coming in just about 35 to 45 days, depending on, when you get your pay stub. Most people, if they work the same job and they don't have any other um, places to wait for where they get money from, when you have your last pay stub, the second week in January, you can go ahead and get your taxes done wherever you go get your taxes done, and your return will be coming to you in 6 weeks, and then boom, you're going to have some influx of some type of money. And this is a good way to invest it and make that money work for you.
Yes.
I think that is amazing. So, that being said, I'm so glad that you spent the time with us. I love the stories. Um, I'm still thinking about Florida. I don't know if it's my city to live in, but I'm definitely thinking about investing.
Yes. Tons of properties. Tons and tons of
Tons
properties.
and tons of properties. I want to
Yes.
be an old lady with a bag, with a whole bunch of
Yes.
bags and
Yes.
lots of titles. I love and the last thing before we leave, what was very interesting to me is that your war room, your prayer room, is laced with titles.
Yes, that's what I used to do.
Yeah,
And I'm gonna go back to doing that.
yeah,
And I used to just that was such a blessing. And I think that's why I won so many properties so cheap. Well, that's just my opinion.
yeah, yeah.
But I remember once I was sitting in front of a judge, I was standing in front of a judge, and it came to a point where now when you get the properties, I'm gonna. I know everybody wants to talk about all the good things. We don't want to talk about the bad part.
Right.
But that's why I teach it from my book, Success and Its Enemy Called Crisis, because investors also face crisis situations. God forbid the land. If I was like a landlord, and but my tenants didn't want to pay rent after a while. So that's where for me, it was my, like in the stories in the movies, there's like that the down climax
Yeah,
type part.
yeah,
As I experienced a lot of that because the tenants refused to pay the rent, and I couldn't evict them. I would wait till like the third month, and so that was a part that I had to really learn from. But to make a long story short, um, I would just say, this is more like a learning process. For it was a learning process for me. But the best part was whenever I got the properties, I would put the titles on the wall, and that was my whole goal. And then the enemy, I would say, fought against me with that issue with the tenants not wanting to pay the rent, and then that it's like it broke my heart because then I would lose my prayer rooms. I remember one time I had just when I evicted one person, I walked back into the prayer closet and the place was still so anointed. I had a word of wisdom hit me right there just by walking into the closet because that's how much I prayed in these closets. And I'm like, it was like my heartbeat was making sure I had my prayer closet. So and now I'm back in that same place, but now my prayer closet is more like my living room. But
right.
God is good. I just love to pray. And I believe that's where success comes. And also, that's in my book, too. Psalms 91, just reminding people to stay in that secret place of prayer. So during the course, I also talk about faith. And you brought that out, how much you have to have faith to get these things. I remember standing in front of a judge, and I remember the judge asking me, um, "Did you really think you were going to take people's houses at $400?" And I hope I'm not saying too much because I know sometimes I go on and say too much. But he was surprised that I knew about this, and he's like, "Who taught you that?" And I'm like, "Well, I did lots of research," and he was like, he was just kind of like baffled, like, "I don't believe you thought you were going to take people's house at $400 and $2,100 and but I did, and it was legal. He's like, "Did you even have he asked if I had insurance on the houses, and I'm like, "No." Normally with those things when you get through the bank. I was just an investor. I got cash deals, you
Yeah.
know. So I'll give you one word of wisdom. When you get your properties, don't let the tenants take over, because the tenants are supposed to pay the rent. So I was a new landlord, so some people don't deal with the issues, they just flip it and sell it. But like the association, if you don't pay your association fees, the association could turn you in too. Just like you could take somebody's property, you don't pay your fees, then they'll turn you in, So it's like, you have to stay on top of things as an investor, even when you're like building up the portfolio, you
Mhm.
have to make sure you also pay those association fees, the taxes, you know, just stay on top of everything. So I'm learning.
Now, here's the thing for those who are listening that want condos, what you have to realize is, and I know for DC, I don't know other cities, but uh, there are certain condos in some part of DC that
Hmm.
they that the banks will not, they will not fund. You have to pay cash only. They're cash only deals because the people have defaulted on the condo fees. And so the the owners of those properties, that handle the association and so forth, they're in court because they haven't paid, and it can get really, really sticky. So, that being said, just think, if you find a condo that you like, and just 5 years ago they were going for $35,000, now they're going for as much as 150 to $200,000. And so to have to pay that in cash, you know, it's overwhelming. But with purchasing through an auction, you're paying like 1% of that, and you're owning it. So it's something to definitely think about. I am elated that we've had this time, and that you have shared with us and taught us already. So, I feel like everyone has a good handle and a nice taste on, what they will learn and how they can become savvy and take this system and make it work for them. So, with that being said, I bid you a great, great night. And everyone, again, the number where you can reach Miss Tasha Taylor is 561 475 7170. The class is happening this Saturday. And when you give her a call, she can set you up so that you can sign up and be blessed and be empowered. So, that being said, guys, good night. I will see you again next week for another Transparent Thursday. We are about being transparent about something. We are opening up and having a conversation. And this is one that definitely needed to be had. And I'm glad that I've had the opportunity to have that conversation with you. Love you so, so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you. Love you too.
God bless you. And I will talk with you really, really soon.
Okay. God bless you.
Good night,
Good
guys.
night.
Good night, people.
Good night.